right, everybody. Welcome to Ossont Battery. I'm Aaron Ossont, your host. This is a special interview I'm redoing because I had lost the previous one I did with this interview subject. And it's actually one of the people I'm having back on the show. So welcome back on, Jake Lewis from Burn Ritual and Gypsy Bird.
Thank you, brother. It's awesome to be part of your show again, and I had a good time the last time, and I appreciate you having me on again.
Yeah, well, like I said, last time it ended up being just a conversation because I ended up getting erased and lost in the ether because something happened with my phone. But so thank you for coming back on. I appreciate it. So first thing I got for you is the latest EP you got out, House of the Wicked. I really enjoyed that one. I love like the sound effects and a lot of the samples that you used. It's great for the time that it came out around Halloween. So just tell me a little bit about that release.
I think Grave Watcher, which was the full-length album that came out before that, I believe, if I remember correctly, came out around maybe right after Halloween that last year, I guess it was. Well, not last year. Now we're in 2025, but 2023. And that album, I thought, had a similar vibe with the fall weather, and tried to keep. I went with the album covers, colors for the album cover, like orangish, greens in there. Kind of reminds me of the old Halloween decorations you used to put on your windows, like the little cardboard witches and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the vibe I was going for. And similar thing happened in last year or a couple months ago when I decided to do House of the Wicked. Kind of kept the same vibe going because I knew I had never released. Well, I had released Blood of the Raven right before Halloween. The second Burn Ritual, the first Burn Ritual full-length album, but it had been a while since I had done something basically like right at Halloween, and I always wanted to do that with a Burn Ritual record. And like I said, Grave Watcher, I think, came out November 1st, or so it was right after November 7th or something like that. And so this is where I was really aiming towards. Plus, I didn't want to have too much time between the next release of a Burn Ritual thing. And it had been a while since I had done something that was considered, I guess, an EP. So I thought, it'd be cool just to throw 4 songs. Originally, I thought 2, and then I thought 3 songs. Then I was like, no, let's go with 4. 4 jams, have them, have that similar vibe with the, Halloweenish fall time period, because here in Texas it's hot as hell a lot until we get to about October time and it starts cooling down a little bit. And so I think it's just perfect for the vibe. But yeah, that's basically the story how it came about.
And one thing I wanted to ask about that record, and especially I think that you've established with a lot of your records, the last few ones, is, like I said, the samples. Like, where do you like have something in mind? Like, you watch a lot of movies and you're like, oh, that would be cool, or do you actually like kind of go and just search for stuff?
Both, really.
Okay.
Or all of the above. I will watch something. I like a lot of throwback stuff. Like, I like modern movies, but I find myself always wanting to watch stuff that either I've already watched or something from the time period, especially the 80s. I'm big on the 80s, big on early 90s, mid 90s stuff, especially with the horror movie stuff. So yeah, I'll watch something sometimes and it'll either be something I've already watched before, or it's something just randomly, like something off Tubi. Tubi's like awesome for like the crazy slasher stuff from the 80s and 90s. Yeah. And the ads aren't too terrible. They have, there's ads on there, but you can get through them. But I'll find stuff just randomly, and in my mind, I'll just make a mental note or I'll write it in my phone. Like, that's cool. That's something that sounds like it would be cool right before a song. And then, like you said, on the other hand, I have just searched like finding some old movie from the 70s or finding an old movie from the 80s and kind of just, if I know what if I watch the trailer or the original theatrical trailer on YouTube or something and kind of get the vibe of what the movie's about, even if I haven't seen it, I'll go through it, comb through it a little bit on YouTube and find something cool, like basically that kind of matches what the music was. Like I said, I've never written a song based off of like a sound clip or a movie or anything, but I have gotten influenced off stuff like trying to think of one of the songs on the new one. I think it's Look What We Done. I was really big into that, and this is a modern movie. Well, it came out a while back, but it's, I guess, considered mod. But I was really influenced by that movie, The Witch. The Black Phillip, the goat, and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And, people either seem to really like that movie or really hate that movie. But I'm one of the people that really liked it, and so that gave me the idea for that song. Kind of, it's not super like all about that movie, but I got the vibe and kind of carried it over to the song. But yeah.
It definitely, like I said, the EP definitely gives you that Halloween vibe. It's a perfect thing to put on for Halloween with the doomy songs mixed with the horror samples, and it's just wonderful, man. So
hell yeah. I'm glad you like it.
So next thing I was going to ask is the evolution of the sound. I was digging into the catalog last probably week or so. I'm always listening to Burn Ritual and stuff, and it's been, you start off with Like Suffering, which was really raw, and then it's just seemed to kind of evolve and kind of build with like the use of samples and keys and stuff like that. So tell me, was that purposeful, or did you always want that stuff, or is it just something you're like, hey, let's add something new and add something new? Or more organic?
I think it just happened as I recorded more and more. As you could tell, like there was a short instance of time where Burn Ritual actually had like a full band and had, it started out with just me. The EP is basically just me. And then it kind of morphed into, I didn't know when I put out Like Suffering, I had no idea what people were going to think about it. It was just, I'm going to put this out, and it got a lot of good reception, so I was like, well, hell, let me try doing a full band and play some shows, which we did for a while, but then eventually went back to being just me. And people that know me is, I love recording music. Yes, playing live is awesome, and playing organically with other musicians is badass too, but my true love has always been recording and writing songs. And I've been learning the craft of recording my own music for a while now, going back to some bands before Burn Ritual. And it's one of those things where you just keep doing it and you keep doing it and you get better and better. I mean, I still have a long way. I'm by no means a master or anything, but that's the great thing about it. You just keep trying and keep learning new things, watching videos, looking online, searching forums, finding new tricks to do. And as far as the keys go, I was never taught like piano or anything like that, although my mom could play piano pretty damn good, but she never sat there and taught me. But the thing about it is I got a MIDI keyboard, and I started writing a lot of, I guess you could call it, like the kids call it synthwave now, but I just call it synth music,
Like Dungeon synth or...
Yeah, I like a lot of different kinds of music outside of the heavy genre stuff, but one of them is synth-based music. Like I'm a big John Carpenter.
Oh hell yeah!
The scores that he does for his own movies, plus everything that's influenced by that. There's so many other bands and musicians that I've found that are influenced by that same vibe, and so basically that's really where it came from. I started fiddling around with the with Logic is what I use as my my digital workstation, I guess you could say, software that I use to record my music, and just using the built-in synths in there. And I just taught myself how to do major and minor chords. So it just kind of came from there. Burn Ritual, I think on the Void album is where I really started to use some synth stuff like underneath and layers and whatnot. And that's basically where it came from, man. Just fiddling around, and like I said, I mean, as a musician, I know, okay, this is in the key of D, this is in the key of C, whatever the song is. Well, let me find that on the keyboard, and just adding little, chords and whatnot, and just, to me, it adds a lot to the music. And I, even in Gypsy Bird, because right now I'm currently about 50% done with the next Gypsy Bird album, and there's going to be a ton of synth in that too. I mean, I think it really adds something to the music. It, to me, sometimes it's not warranted though. There's a few songs on the Gypsy Bird album where I was like, oh, this needs some kind of keys, this needs organ, and then after hearing it, I was like, hell no, it's good with just guitars, bass, and drums. So it's definitely, you have to sprinkle it in here and there and where it fits. You just can't make it happen,
Yep. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Gypsy Bird, because that actually was going to be one of my next questions. Is you also have, I mean, we've been talking Burn Ritual, but you also have the other band Gypsy Bird, and I believe you've done 2 records with under that name, right?
Yeah.
Now, what differentiates Gypsy Bird from Burn Ritual? I mean,
how do I differentiate it?
Yeah, like, how do you know? Like, this is, to me, I think there's a kind of a clear difference for myself, but
yeah, I've been asked that question before. The way I differentiate it personally is when I never just sit there and say, okay, well, I'm going to write a so-and-so song, I'm going to write a Burn Ritual. To me, it's, I have a million song files on my computer and the hard drive that's hooked up my computer. There's some stuff will end up being songs. Sometimes some stuff will probably never end up being anything, but you just keep writing and writing. And so to me, I could clearly tell what the vibe is. So if it's super heavy, it's distorted, it's just sounding evil, it's sounding just doomy, it's going to be Burn Ritual. You know what I mean? And as far as Gypsy Bird, I could just tell, like, when a song's more bluesy based or just got the certain more rockish vibe, like hard rock vibe, then it's going to be a Gypsy Bird song. And not to say, like, because some people might think, well, don't you want to change it up every once in a while? Like, there's big bands. I could think of like the Deftones, for instance. Their kind of stuff goes all over the place, by album. And, or somebody like Sepultura, doing the thrash thing for so long, and then they put out Roots, and it was super heavy and more slowed down. I definitely want my music to do that kind of stuff too. And of course, as far as Burn Ritual goes, I do like have a vision of where I want the next couple albums to go. And that might be a slight, but I don't ever like to differentiate too much, because I'm fortunate to have a lot of people like you and all the people that have supported my music for this long. It still amazes me when I put out a piece of music and, people are, stoked about it. They buy the stuff, they buy the CDs, they buy the records, they buy the tapes. And so I don't ever want to go too far, like a Metallica thing where they just go super left turn. I love Metallica. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. And I love, I'll just say it here, I love Load and albums like that. No, do I like Lulu or whatever that was with what's his name?
Lou Reed.
Huh?
With Lou Reed?
That guy, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But I think it's important to kind of grow a little bit, but never stray too much from your sound. I don't want Burn Ritual to take like a super left turn just in, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I can see things changing a little bit, or maybe getting heavier on one album or slightly not heavier so much on another album. I don't know, but we'll see what the future entails. But that's how I differentiate between Gypsy Bird and Burn Ritual, though.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like Gypsy Bird definitely has the more kind of like you said, laid back '70s rock vibe. Kind of like I hear a little bit of Joe Walsh in there, and some
Nice.
a lot of that '70s stuff. And then Burn Ritual is a little bit more aggressive, harsh. So, for instance, my dad loves Gypsy Bird. He loves listening to that record when
Oh,
I spin it
sweet.
and stuff. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. Freddie, my buddy Freddie that played bass on both Gypsy Bird albums,
yes,
he always would tell me, like, it's so chill, you know what I mean? Like, and just by hearing him say that, because I would send him songs sometimes. What do you think about this? And he'd be like, well, it sounds like Burn Ritual. That sounds like a Burn Ritual song. Oh, okay. So, you can definitely tell the difference, I think. Yeah, they just have different vibes to me.
and it's funny because Freddie, he's got a super heavy band too in
Yeah.
Son of Gray. I mean, he's got a phenomenal band there. That's a great record that he put out. So it's funny that you both guys got heavy bands and you kind of come together for something a little bit more mellow.
Yeah, and I just talked to Freddie a little while ago. He's, of course, in Germany right now. He's been there for the last, seems like 4 or 5 years. I know him and his family are going to come back to the States in the next year or two, I think. But
Okay.
he's definitely writing new Son of Gray stuff, and I may be helping him out on some drums, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't want to say that's super confirmed yet, but we have talked about it, so that's kind of got me a little bit stoked to play some drums on some super heavy stuff.
Yeah, great band, like I said.
Yeah.
So next thing I want to ask you about is recording. You do your own recording.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been asked by other bands to like record, or is that anything you're interested in?
Back when I was first starting out, the first couple of years or so in Corpus, when I lived in Corpus Christi, Texas, that's my hometown. I knew a bunch of people in the scene. It's a smaller town, a lot smaller than San Antonio. So everybody kind of knows each other, kind of vibe. And plus, I was playing live a lot back then. And so I made a lot of connections. And I did record a few bands. They were hardcore bands and metalcore bands. But to me, I don't know whatever happened to those recordings. I probably have copies of them somewhere in a box somewhere. But and like I said earlier, when you do something year after year after year, you get better at it. So if I could have that time back, I could probably make them a better record or whatever it was. I think I made a few demos or whatever, but I've had a few people hit me up, friends and stuff, but nothing concrete. So no, nothing really. It's just all my own stuff. But I'm like constantly in my head. Like I said, I'm such a fan of. I love heavy stuff, but I also love modern rock. Retro-ish rock. I love 80s music, pop music. I love funk, synthwave. All that stuff. There's so many different songs. I'm constantly working on stuff of my own stuff, and like right now I grew up in the hardcore scene too. I had a couple hardcore bands in Corpus that were influenced by like Terror and Hatebreed and Madball and bands like that, Biohazard and Sick of It All. And so I always wanted to put out something cool in that genre. So right now I'm kind of working on the little bit on the side kind of thing. doing something with that too. So I may have a couple friends, like a buddy of mine, sing on that because I'm not a hardcore singer, but I like to play. I like to write hardcore riffs and stuff like that. So
Cool.
but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So next thing, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a couple some hard hitting questions here. And I hopefully you answer truthfully. So first one, since you're a Texas guy, born and raised, right?
Yep.
I'm going to add. This is a hard hitting one right here. Mexican food or barbecue? Which is your go to?
I got to go with Mexican food, man. That's a hard choice, though. I like to barbecue and grill myself. In fact, last weekend, I work on Mondays through Thursdays, 10-hour shifts. So Friday's like my day off, and then I have Saturday and Sundays off. So last Friday, it was my birthday weekend. So I was like, boom, I'm going to get some meat at the store. I'm getting some beer. I'm gonna grill it. I'm going off on the grill. So I did, man. I had a good time. But I would say that question, Mexican food, because I'm here in San Antonio. We have some of the best Mexican food. Plus, I don't know how to make it myself, so I have to go to a store and have it, and it's badass when I do. So yeah, Mexican food all day long.
It's funny you said about barbecuing because I actually I got a new smoker last week.
Yeah.
So I did the burn-in on Saturday, and then on Sunday I made some ribs and smoked sausages. So
nice.
Yeah, man. I love barbecuing myself. Man. What's that?
Can't go wrong with ribs. Baby back ribs, or were they
were baby back ribs? Yes.
Okay. All right.
So next thing we have is your favorite non-Sabbath doom band.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a hard question. Man, I don't know if they're considered all the way doom though, and that's the problem, right? There's so many subgenres of like doom and stoner rock, but
stoner doom,
And this is going to be a cheating question, probably. I mean, a cheating answer, because they sound almost identical to Black Sabbath, but I'm going to go Orchid.
Okay, there you go. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, I forgot who said it one time. Like, heavy metal is essentially just people finding new and inventive ways of ripping off Tony Iommi.
Dude, it's
true. Like, you know what? That's not a bad way of putting it.
Yeah, that's totally true. But yeah, the reason I started Burn Ritual was because I was listening to a hell of a lot of Orchid at the time. And I liked Orchid because it sounded like Sabbath, but it was obviously not Sabbath, but it sounded so much like it. And it just, that's the vibe I like. And plus I was listening to a lot of Beastmaker at the time and stuff like that. So I was jamming in a band. We had a band going called King Earth, and it just wasn't satisfying I guess I wanted to get more evil with it and stuff like that, more doomy. So yeah, that's the whole reason why I use that whole Ozzy kind of vibe with the vocals. I was listening to a hell of a lot of Orchid, man.
God, that's a tough one. I don't even know if I could answer my own question. I love Witchfinder General.
Oh, okay.
Or Saint Vitus.
Yeah.
I used to love this one record by the band Chevy. They're from like Newfoundland.
Fuck yeah, I know them.
Celestial Hi-Fi. That one was great.
That's another
one song, What's Up, Mr. Zero? It's like, if that song came out in like the late 70s, early 80s, it would have been like a radio hit. It's so fucking catchy. And the guy sounds a lot like Ozzy, so
that's what I was just about.
Again,
That's what I was just about to say. The singer sounds a lot like Ozzy.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, to me. It's I mean, I don't know how people interpret my voice now, and I don't know if it's still the same, but I've had people tell me, well, it sounds like you're exploring more of your own voice now on the later Burn Ritual stuff, but definitely the Light Suffering EP. Are you there?
Yeah. Something,
Okay,
I don't know, something's happened there.
Yeah, something happened. But yeah, the Burn Ritual Light Suffering EP was definitely influenced by that Orchid
Nice.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, that one's super heavy. That one, I said that's the first time I was introduced to Burn Ritual. I think I was just, I don't know, was on one of the Doom channels on YouTube, and I just came by and was like, oh, let me just check this out. Burn Ritual, interesting name, And then I was hooked instantly, and then,
Yeah.
5-6 albums later.
Fuck yeah.
So my next question is your favorite wrestler from the 80s or 90s?
Oh boy. Man, I love talking wrestling, man. You know what? I've been really wanting, and I don't know if I have time, but I'm like, I want to start a wrestling podcast, man.
I'm there.
Huh?
But I'm there, dude.
Yeah, I
I'm a big
know. I was
wrestling fan
like,
myself.
when I thought about it, I was like, man, I should hit up Aaron and a few other guys I know that are super into wrestling, But man, that's such a favorite 80s or 90s wrestler. Man, I know this sounds, I probably answered this before, but I think Chris from the Doom Tomb podcast, he likes wrestling a lot. He had asked me the same question. So I'm going to go with the generic, but it's true. It's Jake the Snake Roberts, man. That's my favorite wrestler of all time. I have a bunch of favorite wrestlers. I mean, I like Ric Flair. I like the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. I'm big on Demolition. That's my favorite tag team of all time. But yeah, it goes back to Jake, and it's not because of everybody would say, "Oh, you just like him because it's the same name." No, it's not. To me, he was one of the best at his promos, and he didn't have to do the "All right, brother, I'll tell you what," he just kind of had that cool and collective, almost like eerie,
cold and calculating.
Right, and he really spoke really, gentle but almost evil like, just letting the guy know that what's going to happen. And plus in the ring, dude, I mean, look at him. He wasn't all muscled up or anything, you know what I mean? In fact, I saw recently Stone Cold was talking about Jake right before he'd come out the things, and his music would come on. He said Jake would be sitting there smoking a cigarette in the back, and he'd hear his music come on, and he'd take the cigarette one last drag, and he'd put it out on his boot, put the bag with the snake, and just start walking out. No pre-workout, no spraying oil all over him, or whatever, and trying to look all muscled up. But yeah, Jake Roberts, man, all day long, man.
Now, I think I have the perfect answer on that one. That's Mr. Perfect. He's my favorite. I'm a huge Mr. Perfect fan. Curt Hennig. Yeah. I saw him wrestle. I think it was a house show against the Ultimate Warrior, and it was a pretty good match. So if you could get a good match out of the Ultimate Warrior, then you're a damn good wrestler.
Hell yeah. Mr. Perfect was badass, and I watched a match with him not too long ago where it was him and Rugged Ronnie Garvin. And it was just one of those superstars television matches. But I had seen it randomly on YouTube, and I started watching it, and I was thinking to myself, look at these two fuckers. I mean, they know how to work, and that's the difference. When people that aren't fans of wrestling, to me, they don't understand that there's the theatrical way to do it, and then there's the worker's way. If you're a good wrestler and know how to do the craft, build a story in the ring, you're badass. But then you got guys like Warrior, right? But Warrior was so over with the fans because he would run out, do the shake the ropes, couldn't wrestle worth a shit.
But he looked great,
Yeah, he looked great. But, he didn't have to be a great wrestler. He was already over with the fans, just based on the hype, the music alone. I saw one of his first matches on YouTube a while ago. It was one of his first matches in WWF. And he didn't have the music yet. The dun 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 dun. He didn't have that. He just came out and he didn't even run to the ring. He was walking, and it was so weird and bizarre. So definitely the music and running to the ring added to the whole vibe. But yeah, going back to Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, badass wrestler. I saw him live too in Corpus Christi. I don't remember who he fought. It might have been a jobber, but I did see him in a match in Corpus Christi, and yeah, he's awesome. He was a great wrestler.
Another, of course, you got to. I always got to give props to Randy Savage and the infamous cream of the crop promo where he just keeps pulling out the little creamers, and which he just grabbed that shit from backstage 5 minutes before he went on and was like, "Hey, what can I use?" And to me that's amazing,
Dude, Savage is one of my favorites too. And if I had a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, it would be Jake, it would be Macho Man. Definitely got to put Hogan in there just based on what he did for the game. If there was no Hogan, I don't know how big wrestling would have got. I don't know how much of it I would have saw. So definitely got to put him in there. And I always get kind of torn up with the fourth guy. I would probably say Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean he was badass.
Like with Hogan, with some of the stuff lately with him, and all the bullshit with the lying and especially stuff that's like so dumb. And it's funny because him and Ric Flair, probably the most accomplished guys in the history of wrestling, are two of the biggest liars in the history. Especially you guys don't even need to lie. You could just rest on the shit that we know you did. Like why you gotta lie about other shit? It's weird.
I know. I told my wife that because she sees the stuff about Hogan too in the media, and he's just tarnished his name. And I think now with the internet and all the shoot videos of all the other wrestlers that are, either alive today or it just passed, you see all these shoot videos from 5, 6, 7 years ago. And a lot of people don't have a lot of good things to say about Hogan. So kind of starts to, and then you add it together. I think wrestling fans are not stupid, especially the old school heads. And I think it's just caught up with him when he got booed out of that episode of Raw.
Oh yeah,
that was it's just all added up. It's finally come to a head, and it's a shame, because not one of the greatest wrestlers, but definitely a good wrestler, and knew how to do. He was a ring general, knew what to do in the ring, could make other guys look good. He made Warrior look good as hell in WrestleMania. What was that, 6 or 5?
Yep.
I can't remember. 6, right?
Skydome.
But it sucks because now he's kind of tarnished his whole name with not just the lies, but like you said, I mean, there's all the other bullshit that's come out the last 10 years. So, damn shame.
So next thing I'm going to move on to is you mentioned you love horror. So what is your favorite horror franchise?
Oh man, Halloween sounds generic, but it is.
I'm the same.
The first Halloween is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I don't just watch it around Halloween time. I'll break it out every once in a while. I've got it on VHS, Blu-ray, DVD, all kinds of shit. It's just a great movie. Like I said earlier, John Carpenter, what a master. I just got finished watching Big Trouble in Little China with my youngest son. Another John Carpenter movie.
Nice.
So good, I mean, I've seen that movie 100 times, but it's still a movie I like to throw on. And he had seen parts of it, but he had never seen the whole thing. So he watched it and he thought it was funny at times. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be goofy at times. It's supposed to be got the action and all that. But Big Trouble in Little China. But no, Halloween 2, I love that movie. Halloween 3, I used to couldn't stand back in the day, but I love it now.
That's my second favorite out of the. I love 1 and then 3. 3 I think is so great. I'm a total mark for Halloween 3.
Okay, good. Well, like I said, when I was in my earlier younger days, like I never really understood. Okay, there's no Michael Myers. What the hell? You know, why was this even created? But it took me a few times of sitting down and watching that movie, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, this is a great fucking movie. Honestly, think they should have named it something else. You know, like
Yeah,
it
season
could
of the
have
Witch.
been something on its own because it's definitely to me a little bit more sci-fi than it is horror, but definitely has horror in it. But yeah, that's a great movie. 4 and 5, not really too big on. A lot of people shit on me for saying this, but I like H2O a lot.
H2O is
um,
not bad. Honestly, that's a good one. I
yeah.
even like. See, here's my theory on the Halloween: is when the highs are really good, they are really good. But even when it's down low, a lot of it, like Halloween 6, I can watch that movie and laugh at it, and like make fun of it, and because it's so ridiculous, and even what's the one with Busta Rhymes where he
Oh, Resurrection.
yeah, thank you. Where he karate kicks him or
Terrible.
whatever. Even that one, like I can laugh at it. It's so fucking stupid, like. So that's kind of what I love about Halloween is when it's bad, I can at least laugh at it, and when it's good, it's so fucking good.
When part 4, I like the beginning of the movie. But it just kind of takes a turn for me and the thing about it too, and call me vain or whatever, but the masks, I don't like the masks in those movies.
Oh,
They kind of throw me off when I watch it.
the hair looks weird.
Yeah, in 5, I think the mask looks really crazy in 5. Some people are like, yeah, but he's got that sickle or whatever and all that. And it's like, yeah, but I don't know, and of course, like you said, what's 6? Like the Curse of Michael Myers or something? I think it is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, that
that was
one
one with Paul Rudd.
supernatural a little bit too much,
The
but
runes.
I like H2O because it came out in a cool time of my life when there wasn't a whole lot of Halloween activity for a while, and then that movie came out in the theaters. I went and saw it the night of it came out in Corpus. It was me and my girlfriend at the time and one of my good buddies who was a big Halloween fan. And I mean, just being in the theater was jam packed. And every time there was something would happen, you could feel the audience like, oh, or like, and after the movie was ended, when she cuts his head off, uh, everybody cheered, so it was like, that holds a little special thing in my heart. So I'll still watch H2O. I like it. Yeah, it's cheesy as fuck a lot, but it's good. And then as far as the other ones, yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm not super like I said. Part 1 and part 2 are like my favorites. To me, it's pretty much the same movie, just all ran through real long, I guess.
Yeah.
So
See,
yeah.
we could do a whole episode on ranking Halloween movies.
Oh hell yeah, for sure, man.
All right, man. Next thing I want to move on to, what is your future plans for both Burn Ritual and Gypsy Bird? Is there any plans on eventually maybe even trying to do it live again, or is it just a studio project?
I have thought about playing live again, but believe it or not, it's more of I want to see what Gypsy Bird would do in a live. I already know. I've already done the Bird Ritual thing, and yeah, it was great. There was good times, there was bad times, whatever. Playing live is a weird kind of monster. It's first of all, it's not so forgiving. You know what I mean? You have to load up all your shit. You got to go to a venue. Sometimes the venues are very cool and they take care of you. Some places they'll treat you like shit, and it to me it's like you never know that 2 people might show up or 20 or 100. Who knows? But that's not the reason keeping me from doing it. I will play in front of 5 people, you know what I mean? If they're into the music, and I have before. I have played gigs where there was barely anybody there, but I can remember a Dallas show actually as Burn Ritual, and we had already been out for a while, and had stuff on the internet, and people showed up to the gig that already knew like the songs and everything, and it was really cool. There wasn't a lot of people there, but the people that were there were very supportive. And but yeah, I would like to kind of test the waters with Gypsy Bird, just kind of see. But yeah, as far as the future plans, still recording, always recording. Like I said, I have a Gypsy Bird's about 50% done. I'm still working on it. Still got to do some vocals, got to do some guitars, layering stuff, but I'm really stoked on it. I think people like Gypsy Bird will really like this stuff. And then
is Freddie still playing bass on Gypsy Bird, or
right now, no, but that doesn't mean that's not going to change. We're just, I'm busy, he's busy.
yeah.
So we'll see. But right now, I've been playing a lot of the bass on it. So even if Freddie does end up on it, maybe for a couple of jams or whatnot, maybe not the whole record. But as far as Burn Ritual, just gonna ride the wave of this this little EP, and then I got some other jams that I'd like to probably do after I wrap up the Gypsy Bird thing, and just basically keep it going, one thing after another. I like to, like I said, I do experiment with other kinds of music, but I don't ever want to stray away from the fact that keep the main thing, you know what I mean? And Gypsy Bird and Burn Ritual already have legs, and you know what I mean? So it's like, got to keep, writing music for that until I don't want to anymore, but right now, I haven't lost the love of both those projects.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah. Awesome. So before I end the interview here, is where can people find both Gypsy Bird and Burn Ritual music at?
Oh, whenever I tell somebody that's never heard them, just Google first of all, Burn Ritual band or Burn Ritual music, or even my name, Burn Ritual Jake Lewis, or Gypsy Bird Jake Lewis, or Gypsy Bird Band. Gypsy Bird's harder because the way it's spelled, some people want to spell it with the B-I-R-D, and that sometimes throws a monkey wrench. I know I've even tried on my own Alexa to say, play Gypsy Bird Eye of the Sun, and it will be like, play some random band, you know what I mean? Because I think the spelling kind of messes with it because it's B-Y-R-D, but or just Bandcamp. Bandcamp's been the main thing for me for a long time. Thank the music gods for Bandcamp, because it's been great for musicians like me that are independent, trying to do our own thing, and don't have to worry about so much with the label stuff. And but yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Awesome. Now, before I do my outro, I'm gonna have a little thing I got to say here. So, go to Bandcamp, everyone. Buy Jake Lewis's music, Gypsy Bird and Burn Ritual, and go out there and support independent music, people. Both if you can't go to a live show, go to Bandcamp, find some local bands, or just not necessarily local to your area, but smaller bands that are independent, and go support them, man. Because if we don't support the music, it's not gonna fucking be here. So get out there and support people. Now that's Aaron Ossont. That's Jake Lewis. This has been Ossont Battery. So go out there, buy some Burn Ritual, buy some Gypsy Bird. Stay metal, everyone.
Hell yeah.
Hey, metalheads. You like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com, and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing. Hey metalheads, after going to a rager, what's your ultimate go-to? Mine is totally pizza. So when Overload is playing, or I'm promoting the Metal Forge live showcases, or the big goddamn metal show, I go to Pizza DoNisi. Pizza DoNisi is gourmet artisan pizza from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. It features things like the pizza of the month, the sandwiches, and also vegetarian and vegan options, which is so totally fucking cool for all of it's awesome pizza. You definitely want to go. Hey, and also from time to time they do cannolis. Oh, so fucking good. You know what they said, man? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Yeah, just like that in Godfather. They're located right next to the Mag Bar at 1396 South 2nd Street. So either stop in or call in at 502-213-0488. They're open till midnight. The witching hour.
Heineken, fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Hey metalheads, you all hear me talk about Mag Bar all the time. It is the home to the Metal Forge live showcases and is an integral stop in the Ultimate Underground Metal Tour schedule. They obviously feature live music, but the Mag Bar also has daily specials like Pint and Slice Night on Tuesdays with Pizza DoNisi. But they also do Bring Your Own Vinyl on Thursdays with DJ Kent Jackson, and Finer Things Sundays. Located right next to Pizza DoNisi at 1398 South 2nd Street. Open 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 days a week. Get your asses out to the Mag Bar. Rock out. For 45 years in keeping Louisville weird, Electric Ladyland has been there for all your eccentricities. While they do offer the best smoking supplies out on the market today, there's a whole lot more to check out. From ashtrays and blacklight posters, to records, incense and burners, and items to stock your metaphysical supply. They're open from 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Located at 2325 Bardstown Road in Louisville, Kentucky, and at electricladyland420.com. Roll out.